All right, let's dive in. Today we're talking about a huge technological shift that's happening in one of the world's oldest, biggest asset classes, real estate. We're literally watching it move from paper deeds and months of waiting to digital tokens and nearly instant transactions.
I mean, seriously, think about it for a second. You can manage your entire financial life, your stocks, your bank accounts, everything, right from your phone. But buying or selling a house? You're still drowning in a sea of paperwork, playing phone tag for weeks, and dealing with a process that can drag on for months. It feels completely broken, doesn't it? Totally out of step with the rest of our digital world.
So what's the alternative? Well, we're talking about a complete overhaul, a shift from that old, slow, expensive, and frankly confusing system to a new way that's fast, simple, and totally transparent. Just imagine a world where something as massive and, stuck as a building can be bought and sold as easily as a share of stock.
So, here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll redefine what property ownership can even mean. Then, we'll look at the massive financial trend that's making all of this possible. After that, we'll get into the nitty-gritty of the technology, see it in action with a real company, and finally, take a peek at what the future holds.
Okay, first up, the really big idea here is actually pretty simple. You take that dusty old paper deed, the one sitting in a filing cabinet somewhere, and you convert it into a secure digital token that lives on a blockchain. It's the same core technology that powers cryptocurrencies, but instead of a coin, it's representing a real-world asset, something you can actually go and touch.
Now, let's zoom out for a second, because this isn't just some niche idea for real estate. No, this is a huge wave that is washing over all of traditional finance. The biggest names you can think of are actively moving their operations on-chain. And hey, don't just take my word for it. BNY, one of the oldest financial institutions in America, said it perfectly when they launched their own tokenized bank deposits. They see that the global market is becoming always on, and the old way of doing things, the 9-to-5 market close, it just can't hang anymore.
So, the official name for this whole revolution is Real-World Asset Tokenization, or RWA for short. All it really is creating a digital twin, a sort of digital wrapper for a physical thing on a blockchain. That token is your proof of ownership, and you can trade it instantly and securely with anyone in the world.
And this is getting serious because the regulators are already getting on board. I mean, when the top financial watchdogs in the US, the SEC and the CFTC, start talking about a shift to 24/7 markets, the train has already left the station. And blockchain is the engine that's making it all possible.
And just look at who's jumping in. It's not one or two pioneers dipping their toes. We're talking about BNY with deposits, SWIFT, the literal backbone of international banking, is testing it out. Payment giants like Visa and Stripe are using stablecoins, and asset managers are pouring billions into tokenized treasuries. This is a full-blown industry transformation.
Okay, so we've established that the big players are all in. But how does this stuff actually work? What's going on under the hood? Let's dive into the how.
It really breaks down into 5 main steps. First, you pick an asset, like an office building, and get it properly valued. Second, you create a legal shell company. It's called a special purpose vehicle, or SPV, whose only job is to own that one building. Third, you write all the rules of ownership into a smart contract on the blockchain. Fourth, you issue the digital tokens based on that contract. And finally, you sell those tokens, which represent a real piece of the building, to investors.
And when you do that, you unlock some absolutely incredible benefits. For the very first time, you can own a tiny little piece of a massive skyscraper. You can trade that piece anytime, day or night, 24/7. Every single transaction is recorded on a public ledger that can never be changed. Smart contracts get rid of a ton of expensive middlemen, and your ownership is secured by cryptography, making it pretty much impossible to fake or tamper with.
Now, not all blockchains are the same. The first attempts at this were these private, walled garden systems run by a single bank. Sure, they were secure, but they were totally isolated. The new wave, the really exciting stuff, is being built on open, public networks like Ethereum, but with a super clever privacy layer using something called zero-knowledge proofs. It lets you prove something is true without revealing the secret information itself. It gives you the best of both worlds, the global connection of a public network with the privacy of a private one.
So all of this sounds great in theory, right? But what does it actually look like for a person trying to use it? Let's ground this whole conversation in a real-world example and take a look at a company called Sigma Bank.
Sigma is a platform that's built on these exact principles we've been talking about. They're using blockchain tech to create a totally seamless marketplace for buying and selling real estate. So for you, the user, the experience starts in a way that feels really familiar and easy. You're just browsing through premium, verified properties right in an app with clear pricing and ratings. All that guesswork and back and forth of the old way is just gone.
And when you decide to move forward with a loan, the entire process is digital. No more printing, scanning, and mailing stacks of paper. Instead, you just securely upload your documents right through the app.
Then you get immediate, clear feedback. You know your documents have been submitted and are being reviewed. It's such a simple thing, but it removes so much of the stress and the what's happening now feeling from the old process.
And boom, here's the payoff. All your loan details, your ownership records, it's all in one place. It's digital, it's clear, and it's accessible whenever you want right from your device. This is what tamper-proof digital ownership actually looks like in your pocket. It's a total reimagining of the experience.
Okay, so Sigma Bank gives us a fantastic glimpse of what's possible right now. So let's zoom back out and talk about the road ahead. What's next for this entire tokenized world?
Of course, it's not all sunshine and roses just yet. There are some serious hurdles to clear. Regulations are still a messy patchwork across the globe. Figuring out how to securely protect the actual physical asset is a huge deal, and getting enough people to trust and use these new markets is going to take a lot of education. But the momentum here is just undeniable. Check this out. This research from the global real estate firm Savills is just incredible. They rank technology, including AI and blockchain, as the second most important force shaping the entire global real estate market for 2026. The only thing ahead of it is the economy itself. That's a massive statement about where this is all heading.
And that really brings us to the core strategic lesson here. In this new world of tokenized finance, the biggest risk for any company or bank isn't trying something new and failing. The real threat is doing nothing, getting left behind in your own isolated system while the rest of the world connects.
So we've seen how this technology is poised to completely transform one of the world's biggest asset classes. But real estate is just the first domino. It leaves us with one final, really exciting question. If you can tokenize a building, what can't you tokenize? Think about it. Fine art, classic cars, venture capital funds, even carbon credits. We are at the very beginning of redefining what it means to own, well, anything. So, what do you think is next?